everyone. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. And as you can see from the title and thumbnail of today's video, today we're going to be talking about a very important question. Should Christians defend the Big Bang evolutionary model? Now, this particular video is actually a reboot of a video I made back in 2017 on my original YouTube channel and then backed up to my BitChute channel back in 2019. That video was titled, Should Christians Defend the Big Bang Theory / Model? Now, just to give you a heads up on the situation, things in this video are going to be different than this original video. I'll have the link to the original version in the description box below, so that way you can go back, you can look at that video, and then you can compare it to what you're about to see today and see where I improved. But the primary reason why I changed the title from Should Christians Defend the Big Bang Theory / Model to Should Christians Defend the Big Bang Evolutionary Model is because when I re-examined the claims of Big Bang evolution that are going to be present in this video, I realized that unlike back then when I thought they were all things claimed by Big Bang Theory, they are actually a combination of things claimed by Big Bang Theory and evolution theory. So that's how we're going to do today's video. Today we're going to go through a list of the Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events. And then we're going to go through the biblical order of creation events. And then we're going to fact check each of the claims to make sure I'm not misrepresenting either list. So with that being said, let's get into, right now, the Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events. Number 1, stars and sun existed before the earth. Number 2, sun is the Earth's first primary source of light. Number 3, marine organisms are the first life form to come into existence. Number 4, reptiles came into existence before birds. Number 5, land animals came into existence before whales did. And number 6, disease and death preceded humanity's existence. Now, for the biblical creation order of events. Number 1, earth was spoken into existence before the stars and sun were. Number 2, the earth had light before the sun was spoken into existence. Number 3, land plants are the first life form to come into existence. Number 4, birds were spoken into existence before reptiles were. Number 5, whales were spoken into existence before land animals were. And number 6, disease and death didn't exist until after humanity came into existence via the fall. So now you know the Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events. You know what the biblical order of creation events are. And as you can see, it is obvious that each of these events contradict each other. Literally, points 1 through 6, Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events contradicts the biblical order of creation events, which means that Bible-believing Christians should reject Big Bang evolutionary model's order of creation events, which involves rejecting Big Bang and evolutionary theory. But I can already hear the atheists, the evolutionists, and the old Earth Creationists in my comments section telling me that I've misrepresented Big Bang cosmology, that I've misrepresented evolutionary theory, that I've misrepresented the biblical order of creation events. Well, let's do the fact-checking for those guys. Let's go ahead and let's explore the actual claims that were made by these lists you saw on screen, and let's see if those claims are true or not. So, I turn your attention to ChatGPT, which is a reliable source of information on this topic because ChatGPT was programmed by Silicon Valley people, which means that it's going to uphold the Big Bang cosmology, evolutionary theory models, and narratives. and it's going to know what those narratives are. So I asked ChatGPT, are you familiar with the details of Big Bang cosmology? And ChatGPT said to me, yes, I'm very familiar with Big Bang cosmology, both in its standard scientific formulation and the common philosophical claims that are often attached to it. And then it gives me an overview of Big Bang cosmology, which is all well and good. So I ask it, did stars and the sun come into existence before the Earth according to Big Bang cosmology? And ChatGPT said in response, yes, according to Big Bang cosmology and standard astrophysics, stars, including earlier generations of stars, existed long before the Earth and long before our sun. And then it says, here's the timeline clearly laid out. And then I want you to take note of this key point here in the middle, where it shows you the order in picture form. In Big Bang cosmology, stars came into existence first, then the sun came into existence, and then the Earth came into existence. So this means that point number 1 of my list, stars and sun existed before the Earth according to Big Bang evolutionary model, is true. Then let's see how I followed that up. I asked ChatGPT, is the sun the Earth's first light source according to Big Bang cosmology? And it initially said no, according to Big Bang cosmology, the sun is not the Earth's first light source. And then it goes on to talk about all the different sources of light that existed before the sun. But I remembered that it said that the sun came into existence before the Earth did. So after a while of talking to ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT, if the sun existed before the Earth, wouldn't that mean that the sun was the Earth's first primary light source when the Earth came into existence? ChatGPT said, yes, in standard astrophysics, which sits downstream from Big Bang cosmology, the sun would be the Earth's first primary light source once the Earth actually existed. The key is the word primary and the timing. Let's be very precise. Clarifying terms. First can mean two different things. First light in cosmic history, not the sun. First dominant light source for Earth once Earth exists, yes, the sun. These are not the same claim. Of course, I never claimed in my original question that the sun was the first light in cosmic history. I don't know why it thought that. That's why I asked it the clarifying question, and it affirmed that yes, the sun was the Earth's first primary light source after the Earth came into existence via Big Bang cosmology. This, of course, means that my second point, that the sun is the Earth's first primary source of light according to Big Bang evolutionary cosmology's narrative, is true. But the rest of the 4 points on the Big Bang evolutionary creation order of events list is from evolutionary biology, evolutionary theory. So I started a new thread with ChatGPT saying, can I ask you some questions about the evolutionary timeline of history? ChatGPT said, of course, you can ask. I'm happy to walk through questions about the evolutionary timeline of history, whether you're asking from a mainstream scientific perspective, a critical apologetics angle, or you want to compare evolutionary claims with biblical chronology. Ask whatever you have in mind and we can take it step by step. So, I asked it, were marine organisms the first life form to come into existence according to the evolutionary timeline of history? ChatGPT said, according to the mainstream evolutionary timeline, yes, the earliest life forms are believed to have originated in aquatic, marine environments, but with an important clarification. Short answer, the first life was aquatic, but not complex marine animals like fish or vertebrates. Which is fine, I wasn't asking if that was the case. But the bottom line is, ChatGPT confirms that yes, point number 3 in my Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events, that marine organisms were the first life form to come into existence, is true according to Big Bang evolutionary theory. It is absolutely true, especially in accordance with evolutionary theory. Well, let's move on. So it gives me the answer and the list of events in that topic thread. So then I asked ChatGPT, Did reptiles come into existence before birds, according to the evolutionary timeline of history? It says, in response to my question, yes, according to the mainstream evolutionary timeline, reptiles came into existence before birds. And then it lays out step by step how that happened. So, point number 4 on my list, that reptiles came into existence before birds, according to Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events, is true. Next question I asked ChatGPT, did land animals come into existence before whales according to the evolutionary timeline of history? ChatGPT says yes. According to the evolutionary timeline, land animals came into existence long before whales. Here's the breakdown, and then it gives me the breakdown. So as we can see, point number 5, land animals came into existence before whales did, according to Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events, is true. So then I asked ChatGPT my last question, which was, did death and disease exist before human beings came into existence according to the evolutionary timeline of history? ChatGPT says yes, according to the evolutionary timeline, disease and death existed long before humans appeared. Here's why. And then it gives the big old lists and the summary, and that's all we wrote. So, as you guys can see, each and every bullet point from my Big Bang evolutionary order of creation events is true, which means that I am accurately representing Big Bang theory and evolutionary theory. I'm not misrepresenting anything here according to ChatGPT. Now, what about the biblical order of creation events? Did I accurately represent those? Well, to answer that question, we're going to have to turn to Genesis chapter 1, and I'm just going to scroll back and forth throughout the chapter so we can verify the points. But point number 1, was the earth spoken into existence before the stars and sun were, according to the Bible? The answer is yes. As we can see in Genesis 1, verses 1 through 5, God made the earth on the first day of creation. And as we can see in Genesis 1, verses 14 through 19, God made the sun on day 4 of creation. So according to the creation account, the earth did come into existence before the sun did. But what about bullet point number 2? The earth had light before the sun was spoken into existence. The answer is yes, because when you read Genesis 1, verses 1 through 5, you not only see God speak the earth into existence, but you see that he speaks light into existence, and that there is light on the earth before the sun is created on day 4 of creation. So yes, it is true that according to the creation account in the Bible, the earth had light before the sun was spoken into existence. So the sun was not the earth's first primary source of light according to the Bible. What about bullet point number 3? Land plants are the first life form to come into existence. Well, if you read Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 through 13, you see that God creates land, and then he creates vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it according to their various kinds. So yes, the first biological life form that came into existence according to the biblical order of creation events is plants, plant life. And then the marine life that Big Bang Theory says came into existence first actually came into existence on day 5 of creation. So the Big Bang Theory / model, evolutionary theory / model, contradicts the creation account when it talks about what the first life form to come into existence was. Now, what about point number 4? Birds were spoken into existence before reptiles were. Well, when you go to Genesis chapter 1 and you read verses 20 through 23, you see that the flying creatures, the birds, and the creatures of the sea were created on day 5. And when you go to Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 31, you see that land animals and human beings were created on day 6 of creation. So, according to the creation account found in the Bible, it is true that whales were spoken into existence before land animals were, because whales are sea creatures, and sea creatures were created on day 5, and land animals and human beings were created on day 6. Now, as for the last bullet point, disease and death didn't exist until after humanity came into existence via the fall. This is also true because we see the fall documented right here in Genesis chapter 3, which you can read for yourself. And there are several passages in the New Testament that make it crystal clear that physical death and physical disease did not exist in God's creation until the fall happened in Genesis 3. That is going to be its own separate video that I will be doing in the near future. I've done this video topic in terms of what the Bible says about death and disease coming into the world through Adam's sin. I've done that as a video many years in the past, but I can do it better today, and so we're going to do a video of that here in the near future, because that video, while it might exist on my old BitChute channel, it does not exist on the current YouTube channel, it does not exist on my Spotify account, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist on my Rumble channel and a few other places. So, we'll be covering that in more detail in the near future. But needless to say, disease and death didn't exist until after humanity came into existence, according to the Bible. So, on each of these 6 points, the biblical order of creation events is the opposite of the Big Bang evolutionary theory's order of creation events, which means that Bible-believing Christians should not, and really they cannot, afford to defend Big Bang evolutionary theory. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be insulting my character and insulting my intelligence and insulting the way I put together these videos presentation-wise in response to everything that we've gone through today. But the people who are going to say that I'm lying about any of this stuff, as far as the evolutionary Big Bang theory's order of creation events compared to the Bible's order of creation events, there are going to be people who, even after this point, even after we've fact-checked each of the claims I made and found that every one of them is true, there are still going to be people who insist that I'm dumb, who insist that I'm wrong, who insist that I'm totally misrepresenting everything in this video in order to convert you to my worldview. Those people, if they aren't deluded and ignorant, they are suffering from something that I like to call creationist derangement syndrome. I have a whole video on my BitChute channel from 2019 where I went into detail about creationist derangement syndrome, what it is and what it looks like. And it is in this video called Professor Stick, Frog of Revelation, and Creationist Derangement Syndrome. Hopefully that gives you guys some insight into why Christians should not defend the Big Bang evolutionary model. It completely contradicts the Bible in terms of the order of creation events. And if you're a Bible-believing Christian who views the Bible as your ultimate source of authority in life in all matters, then you must reject evolutionary Big Bang theory because its order of creation events contradict the Bible's order of creation events. And with that, I bid you guys adieu, farewell, and if you haven't been wished this already, happy holidays or Merry Christmas. And I will see you hopefully in the next video. Toodles!